Awesome. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Make yourself at home. How are you?
Oh, I got it. Well, I got it.
We know how to fix that.
We just got one of those.
You told me that.
Yeah. And I said, does he realize it was just
All right, man. We're going to go ride. I'm going to read a couple ads and we'll invite you on. So you do a big plan. Oh, out there, we're going to call you up. Make it a big deal. Bob, you'll tell me about the sound, right? What's that? Let me know how it sounds, right? Of course.
I gotta get working on my I want to
Pulling it up.
This is Beach Talk Radio. Good morning, Mr. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, BG. BG. The following will be a test ship's whistle for Sunflower One, 341, and the Thomas Impact Line. Ladies and gentlemen, with the Gulf of Mexico as their backdrop, broadcasting live from the Margaritaville Resort on Fort Myers Beach. Here are the hosts of the dinkiest podcast in America, Jim and Ed Ryan.
You know, when we have all the super fans back, when they actually remember to applaud, when you guys don't show up on Sunday, we got nothing. So
How much did you pay them for that?
that was awesome. Thank you so much for coming to the show and for coming to La Di Da on a Jimmy Buffett weekend. Yeah. And there's a lot of activities going on here at the resort, up on the terrace at License to Chill, including the dunk tank that starts at 3 o'clock with Peter Bush. He works for, I think he works for one of the TV stations. And then, what? NBC, I know that. And then, hey, Keith, did you bring the coconut bra? Did you bring a coconut bra?
I don't have big enough.
I'm surprised. Come on, man.
Now, coconut butt
Yeah.
that I have.
Coconut butt cheeks.
So we're going to be in the dunk tank at 4 o'clock and 4:30,
Yep.
and there's so many activities going on
So
here.
I brought something for you for the dunk tank.
Dear, wait till you see what I'm wearing in the
All right,
dunk
well,
tank. I am going to be the
here's-
sharpest.
Here's this for your hair, to keep your hair dry.
A little beanie, thank you very much. Yeah,
And,
pink beanie.
and here's some goggles, so your eyes don't, you know. Now
Are you saying
listen,
I'm a sissy? Is that what you're saying? I'm not going to be able to take the
you said
water?
it, so listen, we talked about it, you think it's a horrible idea, but I'm gonna throw it out there and just see what happens.
Rock on.
So everybody, you know, makes a big deal about the locks. So whoever bids the most to throw the first 3 balls so that you can ruin the hair. It's going to be the Dare to Ruin the Hair. And this is all for charity. It's all for charity. So, I mean, it's $5 for 3 balls. I'm not doing that. It's going to take me an hour to get ready after this hair gets wet. So let us know, type it in, meet us up there, and the highest bidder will get to go first, and we'll go from there.
All right, great.
You think you'd be able to do it?
I didn't even hear what you just said. So
No, do you think you'll be able
to?
to dunk? I know. He goes, that's a dumb idea. I said, you know why it's a dumb idea? Because it's not your idea.
Well, I come up with all the good ideas. She comes up with ideas that I have to execute. She likes to throw ideas out there, but not do any of the work.
It's my Fanny that's getting up there in the dunk tank, which you signed me up for.
Are you wearing a bikini?
No.
No? Oh. No. Everybody's like, oh, shit, I'm not going up there now.
No, nobody wants to see that.
No. And a couple other quick things before we call Scott up is on September 13th, Friday the 13th, we're going to be doing our show from the pool stage out here, and we're going to have a great lineup. It's all to raise money for the Women's Club, because if you haven't heard yet, they're trying to build a new building on Sterling Avenue. It's going to cost a few bucks, so we're going to do as much as we can to help them out. And so we're going to be starting at 5 o'clock, and there are going to be flyers where all you need is a flyer to get into the pool for free, but you have to have the flyer to get into the pool for free. So they're going to be upstairs later on. They're going to be at the show tomorrow at Wahoo Willie's when we have the fire chief and the mayor on, and we'll have them throughout the next few weeks. You can also just print it from your printer because it's posted on our Facebook page. And Tom and Mary Torgerson are going to be our first guests. And we're also going to have Alex King and Michael Stewart, who have sponsored the show to help out with free pictures on the mosaic wall. And then Drew Steele and Brendan Leslie are coming on because they're launching a brand new platform. They're launching Drew's show on a new platform. So that's on September 13th. Then 14th is the Revive the Vibe event on Old San Carlos. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And we don't want to skip September 11th, which there's an event going on with the fire department, I think the Coast Guard. So we'll be at all of that.
And the CNN thing?
And then, well, yeah, the CNN thing we'll talk about a little later. So,
and if you didn't get a chance, Jim Adderholt was on the radio this morning with Adam Botana.
Yeah.
Talking about insurance.
Yeah, you guys, if there's a way that you can go back and listen to that. Yeah. Jim is like, he can talk about anything. He's a master promoter. Like he was promoting Adam's business for some reason when they were doing the interview.
Yeah, so. Towards the end, they're like, well, how much time do you have? 7 minutes. And they had already talked about everything. And I was like, oh, Jim can fill that.
Yeah,
no
7 minutes.
problem.
Come on. And let's introduce our first guest right now. He's running for town council. He's on the town council. So that makes him the incumbent. Scott Safford, everybody. Yeah, look at you. You got a bigger hand than we did.
And just to make sure people can get a hold of you, it's not Stafford. It's Safford.
It's Safford.
Have a seat, man. Have a seat.
I was really confused. My son actually played football.
Have a seat. Your head's cut off.
League with Matt Stafford. And talk about the coach being confused. And it was.
Oh, wow. So there. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, here's the flyers right now. Thank you very much. On cue, Margaritaville delivers the flyer. So if anybody wants to come to the 13th show for free, of course, you have to wear a bikini or a thong in the pool, and there's going to be yellow beach balls and all that. So anyway.
No Speedos.
So, Scott, you're running for town council. You're on the town council. How long has it been now that you've been on?
6 months.
6 months. And so obviously the big story on Fort Myers Beach is development, redevelopment.
Wow, you're just getting right into it.
No, not yet. I want to know how much money you've raised so far.
I've raised $30,000.
And how much have you spent? Like 70 cents. You haven't spent any money yet.
I've spent about 10 now.
10,000?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it was that much.
So a couple weeks ago, I was at 30,000 and I had spent 6, and someone erroneously reported that I raised 36,000. So I know math is hard.
Where did somebody erroneously report that?
I don't know.
Where?
It was on Facebook.
Oh, it wasn't me.
Oh, it wasn't you. No, sir. You're just a dinky podcast.
He's so defensive.
Nobody reads or watches anything we do. So do you have a website yet?
Yeah, ScottSaffordFMB.com.
Okay. Awesome. So if you don't...
Can I just go back to so we talked about this before, but originally you got on the town council and you were like, I'm just doing it for now. And then you changed your mind. What changed your mind to continue?
So the reason I didn't want to run is just because all the negativity, and first couple months that I declared I was running, it's been tough, man. I take everything personally, and it's people don't know how to spell my name. They don't know where I live. They think I'm
We would love
this
that.
great developer. I mean, some guy thought I lived on the north end. I mean, I live mid-island on a monthly street. I mean, people just don't know me. And if they do know me, they have a question, they can always ask me. I mean, just reach out. But it's the people, it's a negativity. And I want to be positive. I want to rebuild this island. I mean, we're all in this together. We got to rebuild together. So I'm going to keep my campaign.
This isn't like the national convention, the Democratic convention, where you applause after every 5 words or something. I mean, save it to the end, everybody. Save it to the end. So, so what happens to the money that you raised after, like, let's say you've got 15,000 left. What do you do with that money?
So I'm going to donate that money
To the women's club.
I'm part of it to the women's club,
Yeah.
yes, sir. I'm going to donate some to San Rafael's church to help them build their
very
stage.
nice. Yeah.
I'm going to donate some money to the Fort Myers Beach PTO.
Yeah.
If you want help with your buckets.
No. Okay. I mean, we're not a charity, though. I know it's got to be official.
FMB strong for sure. So
Yeah.
I'm going to donate a lot of my money back to the community. I mean, I look at my campaign like my business and my personal finances. I'm not going to spend more than I have, and I'll have money left over.
Yeah. So
you're fiscally responsible.
I try to be.
So there's just, for anybody that doesn't know, there are 3 open seats. There are 4 candidates running. The mayor's running, Dan Allers. The vice mayor's running, Jim Matterhold. Scott is running as the incumbent. And what's the other guy's name? Greg, just kidding. Greg Skazny is running. And so there are 4 people running for 3 seats. It's a nonpartisan race. And whoever the top 3 vote getters will be seated at the end of the year for 4-year terms. So the first question I want to ask you is, yesterday I posted pictures about Estero Island Beach Club. They're coming back for a second bite at the apple because their first picture was fugly, and the LPA pretty much told them it was, and they needed to get it away from Estero Boulevard. People, at least on our page, and I don't know if people on our page are residents or voters or anything, they're so afraid of heights. Like the height thing, the Estero Island Beach Club thing is like, as Jim would say, or somebody on the council would say, a sticky wicket. Like it's a timeshare. So there's 75 owners. It's either 75 units or nothing. They can't come up with 35 units. They can't, pare it down.
They're not increasing density.
They're not.
So you got to look at every house is being built bigger, higher, stronger, better, nicer. So it's hard for me to wrap my head around when somebody's not asking for more density and they're just asking for a little bit more height. I just don't understand it, especially if you have view corridors and everything else. But there's a process here. I mean, like everything else, we're going to go through a process of public opinion. I hope they come on your show. If neighbors have a problem with it, I want to hear it.
Did you see the picture?
I saw the
See
picture. I really can't, Kim, until it's before me, I really can't say. I've got to look at the staff report. I have a lot of, I was on the LPA for 8 years, and these men and women on the LPA are fantastic. And if they vote on it, if they're a hard yes, then, if staff likes it, the community likes it, it's a good fit, then let's go.
Do you think the aesthetics of it, just based on the aesthetics from the first one to this one,
I think
an
it's
improvement?
absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But again, this is a whole process. I mean, I don't want to, jump the shark here on their project. They're not asking for more density.
I think one of the things that they missed the boat on was all these other developers. They're not really developers, but they get out in front of it. They have meetings. They have a public meeting, and they didn't have any of those. And maybe they didn't know to do that.
Yeah,
I think they could have got ahead of the conversation.
I think that's a big part of it. I mean, we've seen some projects that haven't even gotten to the LPA. They've, that one project mid-island by the church. I mean, everybody screamed bloody murder, and that it was a non-starter. I mean, this is part of the process.
Yeah.
So I want as many neighbors and people that are going to be affected by these projects involved in the process. I mean, we're rebuilding together. That's what it's all about.
So you got this rap that you're just like a big builder thing. Like all you want is big builders. Do you want to kind of stay where you are?
That's kind of crazy. I mean, my wife and I own the smallest boutique hotel and gift shop. I mean, my gift shop was about this big, and somehow we're portrayed as the biggest developers on the island. It's nonsense.
Well, I think part of that is because of the donations. You did get donations from a lot of bigger developers. So that's probably where it came from.
Well, it's 10% of my donations came from developers. I mean, bars, restaurants, people that live here. I mean, lawyers, doctors. I mean, every guys from Captains from Clean Water are all donating. I mean, it's just that people just don't know who we are. I mean, I'm for the little guy. I've always been for the little guy. I mean, I had my business for 12 years. I have a vacation rental company. I mean, I'm for the little guy. I mean, I've been at the Island Pancake House twice this week already.
How was it?
It's awesome. So if you're a small business person, I'm going to support your business. I want to keep the money on the island, and I think we should all do that.
So what is your top three items of public benefit? Your top three.
My top three, and again, it's subjective. Everybody's different. I want view corridors. I want green space. Those are my two big ones.
Yeah. So is a restaurant public benefit?
Not really.
Jim, is a restaurant public benefit to you? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing. I'm setting it up for a question.
So the biggest thing for me is the view corridors and the green space.
But here's the thing. I was watching the
Beach
LPA.
access.
I was watching the
Beach
LPA meeting, and they're talking about maybe meeting again and trying to figure out a list of public benefit, and maybe they give them numbers, right? And maybe what's top priority, and maybe have a vote on that. And so you have, just for argument's sake, you have view corridors and a couple other things, and then number 9 comes in. Like, what was the public benefit at the Meyer side? What's that public benefit?
So the public benefit of and we can talk about Meyer's side all you want. I mean, so they went through the same process.
But you're not answering the questions. They did go
Well,
through
he's
the
going to
process.
get to it. You got to shut up a minute.
So yeah, slow down. So let's talk about Meyer's side. That was a distressed property. I had an employee that almost got raped there before they took over. Now, let me finish. So you've got local people that did a really good job with their hotel.
No doubt.
Reinvesting in the community. So I think the public benefit there is you got local people doing a local business. So just wait.
Come on.
So just wait. They're doing four workforce housing
For their employees, most likely.
but still it's going to be
Right,
four workforce.
but the point I'm trying to make is public benefit is so subjective. There
Sure
really
it
was
is.
none there. I love the project, but there's no public benefit to that. It's a
So
good looking.
That's your opinion, but again,
Right.
so it went through the process
Yeah.
that they had a public meeting.
Yes.
There wasn't an anti-public meeting like we saw with London Bay. The staff said unanimously approve. The LPA unanimously said approve.
Right.
How does one, when I'm representing the community and nobody's saying no, how does one vote against that? I mean, I'm representing the community here.
I guess
and
my point
I never
is
heard a negative
public
thing.
benefit should not be. I don't think it's not fair. You're not making it fair, like what Greenwell said. And I keep thinking about what Greenwell said. I'm going to try and make it. We're making it fair for everybody. Everybody
And
plays by the
so-
same rules, but your rules are fuzzy.
But every
you can't
individual
do that, Ro. You
project
can't
is
do
going to
that,
be
Ro,
looked at
because
differently.
the very next thing we talked about was the cottage, and there was a burn people's saddle about the parking. Yet, the cottage, yeah, they didn't have parking, no problem. So
Okay.
I think every project's different, and I think what happens to people is if we give something to a project, they immediately think that the next project we're going to give the same thing. Every project is different, and I assure you, as long as I'm on town council, I'm going to look at every project differently.
What do you say to people that talk about the density increase that they got there versus, because that always seems to be an issue.
Okay, so let's talk about density. You guys remember the Cranberry song, Zombie? It's in your head. Let's talk hard numbers.
Wait, what's in my head?
Density, Zombie.
Oh, I see.
You know the song?
Okay,
It's
now I
not
got
me,
it. But
it's
you
not my
can sing a
family,
few
it's in-
bars if you would
it's
like
in-
to.
It's on me. It's on my family. It's in your head. It's in a lot of people's head.
You got to keep it simple for me.
I keep hearing people. I heard somebody tell me, and I actually heard it repeated, that we're going to have twice the density on this island in a couple years. I'm like, guys, let's look at hard numbers.
Oof.
Strandview, 24 units.
That's low.
Gone. 25. Is that Carmine?
Probably.
I don't know.
He knows we're alive
All right,
now.
let's just look at hard numbers, okay? Strandview, 25 units, gone. The Beacon right here, 14 units, gone. The Beach Bar, 1 unit, gone. I mean, you go up and down, there was over 300 rooms that were boutique hotels. They're gone. Most of the people building back are building, like Estero is building back the same. Seagate's asking for 10 less. It's going to take billions and billions and billions of dollars to get that density that people are talking about. So as a math guy,
but Scott,
So
But
you're
but
moving,
as a
so
ma-
it's
but as a
okay,
math
so
guy-
you're,
so
the idea
let me
is to
ask you
move
this.
the density from one area to
No,
another.
I don't think we're going to be more dense. Right now, we're at 42%.
No, but I'm saying that that the rationale then is that they get more density then because
No.
you're sort of moving it from
No.
the other places.
I think the local residents would argue it was too dense before, especially during the high traffic seasons. And now there's some people who are like, okay, the LDC.
We were never even at Charlie.
But-
We're right now at 43% of where we were.
Okay, but the comp plan and the LDC
Mhm.
were created. I hate to use them as an example because we love them, but they were created because of Diamond Head. The town at the time didn't want to build these higher structures, and now you have a chance to actually follow what those folks put together. But what you got is, and I posted this last night, I think some people misunderstood it. You got the CPD, which is really a backdoor away from
It's not backdoor. It's part of our comp plan.
Right. What I'm saying is, but you
And
guys,
so are developmental agreements. That's,
Right.
So there's
But-
actually
but
two
here's-
avenues.
But
you
the
can use.
misunderstanding between the people and the elected officials and the LPA is that they think it's 3 over parking. For some reason, there's a perception with a group of people on the
Oh, yeah,
island.
there's a group of people that think Margaritaville is the baseline. These guys asked for a whole bunch. I mean, this
okay.
wasn't the baseline. I mean, it
But
took
how do
years
you
to build.
but how do you convince the people that are voters and or not voters that it's not 3 over parking? That's kabuki. Like I said last night, there's no such thing as 3 over parking. Nothing will be redeveloped at 3 over parking. Nothing.
I think everybody.
Is that true?
Even if
Is that statement true? Nothing.
I can't argue with that.
Okay. Just so people know that.
Yeah, I can't argue. I mean,
Because
I
people
mean,
keep saying 3 over
cottage,
parking.
The cottage and the whale both asked for a little bit more height.
Right. I don't
No
even
less
think we're
parking.
talking about the downtown district. We're talking
Well-
about the big guys.
Until it gets to us, we just don't know. I mean, but the density issue, I don't think this island will be as dense as it was. Show me the math.
But people are happy about that. People that live
That's
on the
fine.
island are happy about that because of the traffic nightmare, right? Or not? They want it to be as dense as it was.
Let's talk about traffic. What's causing the traffic right now? I think part of the traffic problem is we don't have the goods and services that we're accustomed to.
Construction.
I mean,
Construction too.
Construction,
Yeah.
absolutely, but there's no dog groomer, there's no barber shop, there's no chiropractor, there's no rehabilitation clinic, there's no subway. I mean, there's no bank, there's no liquor store. We don't even have a liquor store after 2 years.
Well, that's just crazy
So-
on this island.
so
I don't know how you people are
so-
living without a
And-
liquor
and
store.
what happens? So, us island residents, we understand the traffic flow. But when you have visitors come here, staying in vacation rentals and hotels, they don't understand the traffic flow. So they're causing a lot of the traffic.
Yeah.
Because they get here and they're like, where's the liquor store? Oh, sorry, it's over the bridge. What do you mean?
Yeah.
And then we just need more goods and services. We need more small businesses.
You think that, and then that'll help
I
smooth
think it'll
out?
help. So my vision for the town is to have what we talked about previously in town council meetings, is have nodes all over the island, and a node being a little business district. And I think essentially we have that now, but we have to grow them. You have the Pink Shell district. You have the downtown district here. I think where my hotel used to be is another district, heart of the island. I think you're going to see it at Seagate, whatever they build. I think there should be a little development down by Publix, another one down by the Women's Club, another one. So hear me out. So you've got wine bars, you've got shops, you've got restaurants. You spread out the island, and people bike and walk things. Right now, everything's down here.
Yeah.
I mean, the people on the south end
Yeah.
they're absolutely screaming because they have to either come here or go to Bonita.
So people would drive down, park somewhere, and
Right.
then walk
Yeah.
or ride a bike.
I
Where are
think
they gonna
that
park?
should be the vision we have, as well as trying to create as much green space as we can too. I mean, Strandview is a great example.
Yes.
I hope the town, we have the money to buy that and get reimbursed. But
Great
there's
idea.
other condos that are coming down that we could make a play on. And I think the more green space we have, especially on the beach, is a benefit to everybody.
Oh,
So
for sure.
what is Seagate? Yes or no for you?
I can't say
Why not?
because I'm voting on it.
All right. Outrigger, yes or no?
Until it comes to me, I can't say.
Are
yes
you
or no.
happy with the way London Bay has dealt with the people on the canal?
I'm extremely happy that the people have a voice, and I thought your presentation was it's what we need. We need, if people have a problem, they need to sit down and talk about it. That I thought it was great. I mean, we don't know unless we hear it, and believe me, all 5 of us on the council heard it loud and clear.
Yeah. So what would you recommend to Mark as a solution to that side of the road?
Well, I've talked to Mark. I think that Charlie's property, the canal issue, the whole project should be, transparent, and everybody should talk about it.
Do you think that canal can handle a water taxi or any canal?
So my sister lived on the second house on Curlew, right behind Charlie's. I don't see it. I mean, at low tide, remember when we used to eat at Charlie's? You see the birds wading in the canal. I just don't see it. I just can't envision it. It's hard for me to wrap my head. And God bless the people on Curlew and Bahia Via. I mean, they've got a voice, and that's part of the process.
What do you think of Mike and Don Miller buying up all the properties on the island? Where'd they get all that money?
They gave me money too.
They did? How much?
I know. You look it up.
Who's your biggest contributor right now?
The maximum is $1,000.
All right. So, all right.
number
So
of
there was a
people-
bunch of them? Yeah.
I did well.
So what is your take on this whole situation on Palermo?
It's a terrible tragedy. I mean, Mike was a friend of mine. I mean, it's just horrible. My heart goes out to his family. It was just tragic.
What do you, I mean, the situation with the way the house was built and the pool underneath
So there's a lot of unanswered questions. I find it really difficult to believe that a CO was issued on October 11th. I know October
of 2022,
of 2022,
like 10 days
right.
after the storm.
Yeah, I mean, the island just reopened 2 days before that. All the computers at town hall were blown out. I mean, I find it highly unlikely that there was a CO issued that day. So
I don't
there's
think
a
you're
lot
the
of
only
questions.
one that finds it
I
highly
just-
unlikely.
I
Yeah.
find it impossible. I mean, I know what I was going through at my house. There's
Still
no way
cleaning
a
up.
CO
Yeah.
was issued.
So what
it's just tragic.
Should the town be looking closer at these third-party inspectors? I know it's a state law that you're allowed to have them, but
So
they
it's a
revoked
state law.
one.
Well, I think we need to take if there's bad actors, then there has to be repercussions, right?
Is the staff big enough to figure that? I mean, Joe seems like he's probably working Joe Speck is probably working 24 hours a day trying to get everything
I
done.
think he's working 48 hours a day.
And then you have something like this happen.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Do you think the town needs to add another building? person?
I would not be adverse to that.
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, we're
At least
we're
that would help
rebuilding.
get things moving
And I
faster
don't think
too.
necessarily hiring a staff, but maybe looking into more contractors for sure.
Yeah.
It's as I think we have 350 homes being built right now. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's great to see all the
Yeah.
construction on the south
Oh,
end,
yeah,
going
if
up and down the side
If
streets.
you go down to
Yeah.
Hibiscus, and we used to own a property on Hibiscus, we still do, but it's amazing the strength in that street, and that street is just a microcosm of the rest of the island.
Mhm.
I mean, they're building back. They're all working together. They're all cheering each other on. It's fantastic. I mean, that street is fantastic.
Are you knocking on doors yet, or is it too soon?
Kissing babies, knocking on doors.
Kissing a lot of babies, yeah.
I saw you holding up a couple babies the other day. What was
Yeah.
that all about?
My granddaughter, my daughter just had another grandbaby.
So how many you have now?
8.
8
Wow.
grandkids.
8 grandkids.
Holy
Yep.
Christmas. When are
Yeah.
you taking that harem to Disney? Holy smokes.
It's gonna be a lot of money. So
Yeah. Now, are you guys going to rebuild the Sea Gypsy? What's going on with you there?
Well, so the Sea Gypsy right now is the goods. We felt at the time that the island needed a hardware store more than needed a boutique hotel, and we're happy with Graham. We've got a great partnership, and I think it's benefited everyone on the island. And until he moves, then we'll probably make some plans.
Well, the town is trying to get these things to move along, like these trailers and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So is he rebuilding?
He's actually he's very close to putting his plans in with staff.
Yeah.
So we
Maybe
we should
you
see
could
that in a
ask
couple
him
months.
to put a liquor store in the good store. There you go.
Don't think we haven't thought about it.
Yeah. Imagine if they had a food truck that was like a liquor truck. Are they allowed to do that? I mean, it would be.
Like
there's-
delivery.
There's some legality. I mean, I know Tom.
I'm just
Tom
kidding.
went
I wasn't being serious.
through- Hey man.
So,
you know,
what do you
it
hear
could be
about?
like a mobile daiquiri stand, right?
yeah,
In New
really.
Orleans.
Nice.
Drive
What do you
through.
hear about Times Square?
I'm not really hearing much.
No, neither am I.
You know, I've spoken to those guys. There's a lot of different people involved, a lot of personalities. Some people have money, some don't. It's going to be tough for them to get a unified plan. I would have loved to seen them all come together and do like a condo thing, but it's just not working out. So
It's time out property, wasn't that?
you did, yes.
Yeah. So that's a whole nother twist in that whole thing. What happens with that property?
It's my understanding that the guys that bought Plaka are
Looking into that?
We're in negotiations. Again with Mike and his family. I don't
Yeah.
know
Right.
what's going on. I mean, it's just an unfortunate thing. And
Why should people vote for you?
because I think I'm the island guy. I think I've done a good job. I totally understand where people are coming from. I've been here a long time. I've been a business owner. I've been a resident. I've been on the LPA. I get it. I mean, I survived the storm, went through the same things everyone else has gone through. I mean, I lost a business. I'm rebuilding the business. I've lost a house. I'm rebuilding a house. I'm having just as many problems as people are having with permits and my GC. I mean, I totally get it. And I'm willing to fight for the people to rebuild this island together.
Good.
How can people donate? Not that you need any more money. You have like you're leading the money pack, right? I don't know why I'm so obsessed by the money
I-
thing.
you have
Because I
always
think on
been
the beach,
obsessed
all you
with
need
money.
is signs. I mean, what else do you
Do you
need
have
but
an
signs?
$18,000 Rolex watch on? No. Okay.
No,
well,
I've
we're
got a
good.
beat up golf
He's
watch
still
that's
talking
broken.
about that. He's still giving Daniel a hard time about that
just
watch.
so everybody knows, that money goes into a trust account. I can't touch it. Everything that goes in and goes out has to be totally
Everybody
transparent.
knows that. Do you think
What
somebody's?
people don't understand is my wife and I have moved 4 times since the storm. We're living in an apartment above an unfinished garage with two dorm fridges and a microwave. Every time she blow dries her hair, it's not as nice as your hair. She blows a breaker.
We would be in big trouble.
So when do you think you'll be back in your house?
We're hoping next May.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
So are you happy with Andy's performance? Andy
Yes,
Hyatt, the town
absolutely.
manager. What grade does he get?
A+.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. What about the mayor? What grade does he get?
A.
Yeah, 8. Oh, no plus. Why? Oh, that's wrong.
I'm related to him. No, I think Dan's
Yeah.
done it. I mean, Dan, during this, that's the guy you want in your foxhole. I mean, he's just been a great leader, and he's just done a fantastic job. I can't.
He was in the trenches.
He's in the trenches.
Yeah.
You want that guy in your foxhole. I mean, Dan's awesome. You know, Jim's got a different skill set. I'd give Jim a total A as well. I mean, he does little big picture projects, everything else. I mean, he's cheering everybody on. I think we all work well together. I mean, John King asks a lot of questions. Karen's, you know, she's out in the community, out with the county. I'm kind of more the visionary, the numbers guy. So I think we're all working well together.
What do you think of the Murph committee?
Oh, for love of God. I thought we were past that.
Man,
It's been a couple of weeks.
I'm friends with most of the people on Murph. So.
Okay.
Well, if you
Yeah,
want
so
to keep them, don't say anything to him.
Man, I mean,
Do you think
I
the town
think-
has too many committees? I mean, come on.
I do not. I think we need
more.
We just need help.
We need a parking committee. Get
We
rid
do.
of one of the other
We
committees and
do
come up with a
need
parking
we
committee.
need a parking committee, and if people have a solution to the parking issue,
Yeah, bring it to the
please
table,
call
man.
me. I mean, I'm
You know
not
what
a
I
parking
think it is? I think it's golf carting people from the airport to the island. I think that'll solve your. I got to get one last dig
Number
in.
2.
Come on.
Wow.
Number 2.
That's over with now. So, what do you mean number 2? I didn't give him a dig before.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't let the
No,
Murph
I
committee go
actually
or
think
that.
we should have a public forum for sure about parking.
Yeah.
We're going to have we're almost to the finish line on the comp plan. We're the next step for the town is to go over the land development code. We plan on having a couple public meetings, and I encourage everyone, if you've got a voice, to come participate, because we're going to need help, and we don't have all the answers.
Yeah. Poor Sarah. I mean, I think you guys make her head spin sometimes with what's supposed to be.
Sarah A++.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
I was
sure,
just
man.
gonna
For
say,
sure. I mean,
exactly.
and she delivers her presentations
So
totally,
professionally.
That's the thing. Again, if Sarah, again, and her staff report, if she says yes, I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to be hard to convince me to say no.
Right. Well, sometimes she says no, and the LPA says yes, and so it's
A lot of times she's going right by the book.
right.
And like you had said, that the book has changed a little bit. I mean, we're giving a little bit more hype, we're giving a little bit more this, that.
Is that
But-
what some of the things you think will get changed when you're as you're
I
redoing?
think we need to have a long, hard conversation, because back when the LDC was written, it was revised 10 years ago, but originally, I mean, most people were used to 8-foot floors.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
they're 10, 12, and now we've got to be even higher because of FEMA. So I think, I'm not talking 17, 25-story buildings. I'm talking,
There is a 17 coming
I know.
up. So
I'm not talking about that, but I'm
Yeah.
talking about the 3 or 4 floor buildings.
do you feel like the big developers come in saying, I'm just going to throw the biggest thing I can against the wall, knowing I'm not going to get it, I'm going to have to come down? Is that what the read is?
I think that's just human nature, right? I mean, look what these guys. Tom's original thing was
Gigantic.
gigantic.
I loved it.
You
Yeah.
loved it, huh?
Yeah. Because it would have had a seawall here that would have helped with the storm.
I was all for the
Yeah.
seawall, man. I mean, but he went back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
And he got a lot of people that lived on Palermo down here. He had a lot of public meetings. He had a lot of engagement with the community. I mean, he did the right thing. And this place is wonderful. Look at it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Everybody that's building something like that should match. Everything's open to the public except the pool. And everybody gets a 25% discount. You've never heard that come up again. You never heard that come up again. And I've never heard anybody really even.
I think this place is wonderful.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean,
100%.
and the people that
Yeah.
were so vehemently against it, I challenged them to come here and spend a day. It's and look what you're hosting this charity thing this
Right.
afternoon. I mean, they're giving back to the community. These guys are,
Yeah.
Again, this is, Tom and Mary are locals. They live here.
Right.
We trusted them, and
I trust her more than I trust him.
No.
Let me see him.
I don't trust her playing.
He rides a
cribbage.
bicycle without a helmet, which I don't appreciate. That's
But-
one thing
but,
that bugs me about
This
bicyclists.
is a success story, and they've done a blueprint.
How come
for
you're not in
how-
the dunk tank today?
I'm sorry,
How come you're not in the dunk tank today? Which is a perfect election year kind of thing to do.
nobody asked.
Get in the dunk tank.
I'll
Oh,
give you
okay.
my spot. It's
No,
at
you won't. No, you
4:30.
won't. Absolutely not. You're not getting out of that because I brought a lot
Me.
cash.
I've
for
got
that
a
4:30
ton of
slot.
cash on me, and
Yeah,
I can't
nice,
wait to dunk
nice. How can people
you. Wait,
How can
I don't even dunk you.
I know.
The only
think,
thing about
you
those
know-
dunk tanks is you want to go first. You really don't want to go last.
Yes.
No, I mean, what's the point? Once the hair is wet, it's going
Plus
to
it's
be.
gonna be
There's
lukewarm.
all kind of other things going on.
Yeah.
there,
Yeah,
but-
no one, if you have to go to the bathroom before you get in the
Yeah.
dunk tank,
Yes,
because I'm
please
at
do that.
4:30, I go before.
And watch out for the little kids. I mean, the little kids are lethal.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
the
because
kids
they
in
just
the-
run up and
I don't
hit
know
the
what
thing.
they're doing at this little league down here, but every kid can throw a fastball 50 miles an hour right on target.
How can people reach you and get information on? And by the way, our first debate is the 12th. It's a forum debate, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be the 12th at Nervous Nelly's, so everybody can come down and ask questions of the candidates. We'll be taking mostly audience questions. So how can people reach
my
you?
cell phone, and I'll give it out, is 239-224-9542. My email is scottsafford@fmbgov.com.
Please spell your
Whoa,
last name.
slow down.
Scott, Scott, and my last name is spelled SAFFORD @fmbgov.com. I'm not ducking anybody. I'll talk to anyone. I try to respond to every email. I think when people send me emails, they've taken a lot of time, and I respect that. So I'm going to respond, whether I agree with them or not. I'm going to respond. And please call me if you guys have questions. Love to talk to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Safford.
Thank
Thank you, Scott, for coming on. Appreciate you very much. Good luck in the race. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. All right. So we got 4 candidates running for 3 spots. Everybody knows who they are by now. Before we get to our special surprise guest, I want to tell you about Alex King. Alex is one of the sponsors for our September 13th show. Friday the 13th is your lucky day, people, because you're getting into the Margaritaville pool for free. We have a 2-hour show on the stage hanging over the pool. And if you haven't been to the pool yet, shame on you, but you'll be able to get in for free on September the 13th, starting at 4:30. As long as you have one of these flyers, all you need to do is take one of these flyers with you or print it out on your computer. Alex King made this possible. He's one of the 2 people, Alex and Michael Stewart. Alex is an advocate for revival of Fort Myers Beach. He's helping hand in beautifying folks' yards and mowing. He's out there with a lawnmower right now. You know, on the south end, there's a few areas out there that need some mowing. And so call Alex and borrow his lawnmower. He sponsors so many things on the beach. And he's a boater. He's a fisherman. He's a kayaker. And, you know, he's on TV doing American Dream. He's the host of American Dream. Give Alex a call right now. He's out mowing his yard, but he always has his phone with him. 239-849-3663. 239-849-3663. And Michael Stewart, who is a structural engineer, because the last thing you want in your new house is for that sucker to fall down on you. So you want it to be structurally safe. Michael Stewart can design any structure, residential or commercial. He designs mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. His residential services range from new custom homes directly on the Gulf Bay or finger streets. Never heard them called finger streets. I think he means the side streets, right? Yeah. He starts with a survey and the client's hand-drawn sketches. He doesn't want my hand-drawn sketches. And then he generates all the documents for the permit. Michael Stewart is a great sponsor of the show, and he is the reason, another reason with Alex, why everyone's getting into the pool for free for the Women's Club fundraiser on September 13th. You can give Michael a call, 239-292-7670. 239-292-7670. He's got a website. Go figure. mstewartpe.com. That's mstewartpe.com. Our special guest, who's come all the way in from his house, is Kevin Ruane, the Lee County Commissioner. Come on down, Mr. Ruane. Big hand for our County Commissioner. Yeah. We love having Kevin on the show. Last time Kevin was on the show was when we were at Wahoo Willie's. And I think we were talking about the pier back then. But after he left the show, he got a flat tire out behind Wahoo Willie's. So it was a little extended stay. So, and he's got, what do you got, like a warranty thing for your tires that you bought, and you've replaced 7 of them already?
Yeah, so it's a tire warranty that most major manufacturers offer you, and we've done it. Obviously, the district that I have is all coastal, so the majority of it is still under construction, so it's just a hazard of replacing tires.
And you're going to be the chairman again in November. It's kind of a rotating chair, right? So you're back in November.
Correct. As long as the county commissioners vote, I'll be chairman.
Okay, sweet. So we had Mike Greenwell on, and one of the things that was interesting about the redevelopment, it seems like it's a little different in the county. The rules are the same. On the beach, it's kind of like it's different. It's the public benefit, and they go through a CPD. Is it better to be everybody plays by the same rules? What's your thought?
So the process is a lot more intense at the county level. We have an LPA like you do. They make their recommendation. It goes to a hearing examiner who is actually a lawyer who interprets our land development code and then gives a second opinion. Then our staff gives a third opinion, and then it comes to us. So when people talk about development, they have some anxiety about what you do or don't vote with. And there's not a lot of reasons that you can turn something down when you have all three. The biggest issue you need to look at is, can the infrastructure handle it? And it's no secret that I have a different opinion than the other four commissioners when it comes to Timbers Resort on Sanibel. And the reason I took that is A, I governed there for 13 years. B, I had the fire department, the water department, natural resources question whether the infrastructure could truly handle this. That was the reason, and I thought that was substantial evidence to say no. And that's why I said no.
And why do you think the other commissioners they just didn't see that, or they just didn't agree with it? Or,
Well,
I mean, you were, like you said, you were out there for all those years. You know what the impact's going to be to not only Captiva, but Sanibel to handle that extra amount.
So I know the people personally. I know the fire chief in Captiva. I know Island Water. I know the natural resource. I've worked with them for so many years. So I value their opinion probably greater than the other county commissioners because I've worked with them. I know what they do. And that's where it's a little bit of a different insight. And I look at, a one road in, one road out. How do you do this? And we weren't going from, 200 or 300 units. We're going from 300 units to 900 units. And I don't know, and you really have to take pause. It's one thing for everyone to talk about traffic. But when you have Island Water, who does potable and drinking water, indicating they may have a challenge to provide said services, I don't know how you grant that. And that's just my interpretation as someone that's been a water quality person.
I think, too, a lot of people came up and spoke against it. And it was a little disheartening, I think, for their voices. It felt, I'm sure, to them, or I won't speak for them, but if I was there, it would have felt like you're not really listening to my concerns.
Most people come to our meetings to voice what they don't like. I have to follow the law. So people talk about traffic. In 2012, the legislators took traffic out of the equation. So although I know it's a traffic constraint, I can't do that. People talk about noise. Again, we have noise ordinances. So there has to be a substantial, valid reason to say no. Mine was purely infrastructure. And that was what I continue to say. I thought I certainly made my point. The other commissioners felt differently, and that's fine.
Just one more. On the traffic
I could have gone to the bathroom already.
On the traffic, I get it. Traffic, you got to wait. But in an emergency situation, is there no caveat for evacuation when it comes to traffic?
It doesn't matter where you are in the county. You're going to have to get out of the way. Is it more challenging on the beach, whether it's Fort Myers Beach or Sanibel? Absolutely. But it's no different after coming back from the storm. I'm on McGregor. I'm on Colonial. We're going through the same issues because now you have 1.6 million people here. And, for me to go someplace, I'd be in, mostly in the sheriff's cars, and there'd be like parting the sea. I mean, cars just moving out of the way. That's what they do for traffic. It's unfortunate, but when it's an emergency, you try to make sure you adhere to it.
So, Kevin, last time you were here, you rightly predicted the two predictions that we need to talk about, but you rightly predicted how long you thought the pier was going to take. And now we're in a situation where it's probably still 5 years away. Is there any way that we reduce the amount of time from what they're saying it's going to be or not?
So the problem you run into with this whole rebuilding is you need the federal government to take the first pass or certainly give the design and the planning that you need to go through. And that takes the longest period of time. Then you can start the process of trying to build it. But you might spend half of the time waiting for FEMA to say yes. And then you have the Army Corps of Engineers, the South Water Management, the DEP. You have all these agencies, and each agency does not move at the pace you'd like to. It's bureaucracy at its best. And that's the difference being at the county than when I was at Sanibel. I see it more firsthand.
But so
you think
is the
it'll
answer
take
yes
that
or
long?
no? It's going to take as long as they say it's going to take.
We certainly, as a group, understand the economic impact. We obviously pledged money from the bed tax. We think it's a great thing to do. We'll do and stay on top of the projects. Our job is to monitor every project, no different than a project manager. And this one's really important to the beach.
Right.
So I can indicate as someone that's only governed on beaches and only had a coastal community, I'll stay on it. I thought it was very good. We were at a point where we were going to say no until staff gave us the appropriate information
About TDC
that
funds.
we had reserves of $43 million in TDC. It became an easier decision with that because TDC money can only be spent on TDC. So it's either beach, marketing, or attractions. And they have to bring in tourists. I can't do it on any other area.
One of the things I think Mike Greenwell said that he wishes he could the county could re-vote on is the AstroTurf in this park right here. Beautiful sandy park, nice sand. Are you going to put AstroTurf over that park there?
I don't want to.
Okay, so that's 2 so far. I don't think I think after the feedback about how hot it gets, there's got to be a way to go back and say everything else looked good, but maybe not
that.
the AstroTurf. I mean, I didn't have any idea that AstroTurf is hot under your feet until people started giving feedback about it. So that seems like maybe an easy change.
It will be, and obviously that's when you lean on natural resources to try to tell you the benefits and obviously the impediments.
Yeah.
I
So
think people come to the beach though.
they want to be
They
on the
want
beach.
sand,
Yeah.
not
Absolutely.
yeah.
You know, Dury and I have had the privilege of living in beach communities most
Yeah.
of our life, whether here or back in New Jersey.
On Sanibel, you were the mayor for 13 years?
12.
They're 12 years. So there are no variances. You can't get a variance, right?
That's not necessarily true. There were variances. So one of the biggest variances we gave when I first was on council was for a chain store that was already grandfathered there, and they were going to rebuild that and redo that and redevelop that. I'm trying to remember the name off the top of my head, but it was like a
Dairy Queen or something?
no, it was
Oh.
a women's store.
Oh.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but we gave that a variance. Variances are a lot less common on Sanibel than any other place.
So the other prediction, we were kind of going back and forth about the election, wondering how the prediction, the turnout with Mike Greenwell and Amanda was going to turn out. And you said, what would you say? You freaking nailed it exactly on. You got it exactly on.
55-45. Listen, that campaign was one where Amanda Cochran jumped in the race early and worked really hard.
Yeah.
And got a lot of people to get revved up on development and attack Mike. Mike's a builder. And honestly, until you sit in my shoes, people say I came from Sanibel, extremely conservative, but I'm a business person too. And we have had hundreds of millions of dollars in Bert Harris. So when you look at those issues, Mike got attacked. They picked on Mike. He was developing an area, and they didn't want that to happen. And then you have this smart growth concept. Mike's a developer, Mike's a builder, and I'm for smart growth. We're playing with words because truly at the end of the day, as I sat down with Amanda for 3 hours to talk to her as a candidate, I wanted to understand how are you going to build consensus to get 2 other votes.
Right.
It's the most frustrating job when you're one and there's 4 people that oppose you. So I looked at that and I thought Mike was certainly going to take a dent. Mike also got appointed by the governor, and he only had 6 weeks the first term. So when no one really knew Mike, but they knew him as a baseball player.
Mhm.
Right.
So he had name recognition, and I honestly believe at the end of the day, he is best for that job. You cannot go into the middle of a recovery and have on-the-job training. I'm sorry, it's too big. Between the recovery that we're going through, that'll be another 5 years, battling with HUD to try to make sure we get more than the $1 billion we awarded,
Right.
dealing with FEMA and battling with them, and dealing with a budget that's $2.4 billion. When you talk to a person that wants to run for office, when they cannot answer those questions, I have severe reservations about that. People said, well, Mike doesn't seem like he flows as easy. Some people run meetings well, some people don't.
Mhm.
Okay. But he still has institutional knowledge that is so essential. If ever there's a time to be essential, it's now.
Mhm.
And that's what I think he brought to the table.
Do you know you might not, because you brought up about the Bert Harris and, how much has the county lost in Bert Harris? Because, we've had people on the show that are like, well, they're using that, they're weaponizing Bert Harris to scare
Okay,
people.
so the most recent case was King Ranch in Bonita, where the DRGR is, okay? Density reduction, ground reduction. So King Ranch basically applied to develop there. We turned them down. They won a $100 million judgment, and I was on the commission.
Wow.
So that's how recent it is. And we were going to have to pay them, and they were allowed to develop whatever they wanted to develop because, again, they're going to use our funds. So they sued us under Bert Harris, the $100 million, to obviously ignite the project. That's something we didn't want to do. So here along comes the Camerata Group, who wants to develop that, takes us out of the lawsuit because we're going to have to write a check for $100 million. They took us out of the lawsuit. And to make this a little bit more appealing, they said, we'll only develop 2/3 of the property. and a third we'll put in green space. So my choice is pay somebody $100 million,
Right.
let them develop
Whatever they
the
want.
entire property, or go to the Camaradas, have the taxpayers save $100 million, and a third of the property goes into green space. It was more than a compromise, and it was more than a decision. But that's a recent example. The second example that we turned down is Eden Oaks. It's right behind Shell Point. We gave it a no. It was certainly in my district, certainly led to George, and they came back and they have filed the Bert Harris claim against us.
When you guys gave a no on that one, was that not a consideration? Like, how do you get a no and not know that that's going to happen? Like, do you get?
I believe there's really no merit to that case. But again, what you can, because government's involved, you can sue. You could find an attorney that does it on a contingency, and then you're burning real dollars, taxpayer dollars,
On a frivolous.
and what we don't do in the state, loser pays. We don't do that. Not often enough. We don't do that, and that's the deterrent you'd have.
Yeah. So back to the beach real quick. Do you know anything about the middle of the Estero Boulevard mess? Do you know if they're going to want the counties? I know the county's got a million things to do, like probably still repairing traffic lights, but do you know anything about the middle lane being repaired on Estero Boulevard?
So obviously we're going to start off the light projects, and the middle lane is certainly on our CIP list. What most people don't understand in the county as we're growing to the degree we are, is our CIP, or capital improvement project list, goes on for 30, 40 pages. Okay. And our structure is so much different because when you come to transportation and infrastructure, it gets driven by the Metropolitan Planning Organization, also known as the MPO.
Yeah.
There's 20 people on that board. So advance an item like you just talked about, 11 people have to say that's a priority. And then we list the projects from 1 to about 1,000.
Wow.
And that's
Sounds like my
basically what it
house.
looks like on the infrastructure that we obviously need for the county.
So the squeaky wheel should get in front of the MPO.
Obviously, if you can convince people on that, there's an executive committee, which I sit on and have sat on for 17 years. And then there's the full committee. We try to set the stage at the executive committee to then have it teed up for the regular committee.
So
It's hard to concentrate with that smell. Is
I know.
so good.
It's
My
like garlic
God, what
or
are they
something,
making?
man. It smells
back
really
there?
good. So what advice do you have for the town of Fort Myers Beach elected officials when it comes to rebuilding?
I think what Scott was indicating is you listen to the constituent. You understand the community. This is a community that has the opportunity to rebuild. And I also think that Fort Myers Beach, having talked with many mayors in the time I was mayor at Sanibel, would love to be a complete full-service municipality. Right now, it's a municipality, or it's known as a light municipality. You rely on the county for a lot of the services, whether it's public works, whether it's natural resources, whether it's the sheriffs. So you have this opportunity to be, no different than Fort Myers, Cape Coral, or Sanibel, a complete city with all your own services, and then you rely on yourself in that regard. I think the development is going to help do that. I think what's going on is certainly an opportunity of a lifetime. I mean, the beach went up 45% in 1 year, okay?
With basically no development.
But most people would say they're letting and trying to understand that the land development code was never done with perfection. Same thing in Sanibel. There was many issues I fought in Sanibel that the land development code would say different. We didn't even allow outdoor dining on Sanibel.
Right.
Resorts needed to be 600 square feet to be competitive. We changed that. But you're making things more intense. Did it change the characteristic of Sanibel? No. Did it help Sanibel evolve? Yes. The mentor that I worked with was Portagas, who was the original mayor of Sanibel. He said, I'd love to tell you that I had vision for 100 years, but I did not.
Right.
And you have to balance growth, what you'd like the community to do, and then the money to pay for everything.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge to do so.
So 6 years ago, you were the second guest on our show. Jackie was the first guest. You were the second guest at Pete's
Crazy.
Time Out. And I think one of the things you said was Fort Myers Beach has to decide whether they want to put their big boy pants on or not. Do you think they have?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think Fort Myers Beach, and listen, I'll be the first to say that I'm biased to beaches. I've only governed in coastal communities and had the privilege of the other beach. And when Larry Kiker was alive, God rest his soul, we always had a pact as mayors that we would work together. I would always advocate that they should be a full city. You then have no responsibilities to others or looking for others to help you. Okay. And there seemed to be a groundswell after unfortunate death at the library.
Yeah.
That you want
Yep.
your own police force. Okay. And nothing against Carmen. He does a great job.
Yeah.
But, you know, I also had the privilege of being on Sanibel where I had 41 sworn officers. It's a lot different, but it has a different cost
Yeah.
element.
Oh,
to
your
it.
taxes are going up for sure.
And taxes are going up. And I think right now, Fort Myers Beach will be a very, very, very unique place. And I think a great place for people to come, make an investment. And with that, just turn to the opportunity to say, we'll be a full city.
Can I tell you that diverging diamond at Colonial and 6 Miles is shit,
It's
man.
not
I mean,
working.
holy Christmas. What the hell is going on there, Kevin?
And
It's been
please-
going on for
please
a decade or something.
Change the
I can't
plan
get
to
to
put
the
it at
gym, for
Daniels.
Christ's sake.
We don't
Come
want
on.
it at Daniels.
What the hell is that? Hello, are you home?
Listen, there's things that we have done extremely well. There are things that we don't do well at all. But when you're working with the Florida DOT, the Department of Transportation, you don't have the say. Again, I talked about being in Sanibel, having a lot more insight. I talked about coming to the county commission. It became much more bureaucratic. It becomes much more political.
Yeah.
And you work through that process, and it's a very frustrating
What are
process.
the politics of a
I
diverging
know.
diamond?
I'm sure it's going to be
though?
great when it's done, when I die. But the other thing is, like, they're going to put 17 traffic lights here at the base of the bridge because somehow that's going to speed up traffic. But yeah, the Fort Myers Beach Council says the same thing. You get in a meeting with FDOT, and it's like you're talking to a wall.
Well, you know what? In the same token, I can recall when I was mayor of Sanibel, they wanted to do a roundabout at Lindgren. Okay. The MPO basically had indicated it was the number one solution to the biggest congestion problem we had, to build a roundabout. Number one of the projects, funded it for a study, and then it would have to be funded. The issue with that was the residents didn't want it, overwhelmingly didn't want it.
Right.
So we had to convince DOT that although you have given us the great wisdom, we're not taking your gift. And we didn't go along with it. So you do have that opportunity. You just have to be
Can we
extremely
do that
boisterous.
for Daniels? Give it back.
I'd love
I mean, we've got two roundabouts in Gateway, and
They seem to be working
yeah,
fine, though. They
I
are.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, if people, it's a learning curve for people to know.
Yeah.
Yep, you can go.
Yeah.
The lane is open, but
They were
oof.
more commonplace when Duran and I were up in New Jersey. But people
oh my
have
God, Jersey is the capital of roundabouts.
So Ray Sandelli's retiring in November. Anything you want to say about Ray? Working
Ray
with
was
him?
a great guy to work with. You know, I met Ray with the 5 other mayors when I was mayor and sat down with him, and he seemed like a very practical person. And that job was something that I think he, you know, had the pressure of having a governor call him over the weekend and make a decision.
That's crazy.
You know, it is. And you know what? I've had the privilege 2 different times to receive different phone calls from different governors. It's really hard to say no. It truly is.
He calls me all the time. I had to have him blocked.
yeah, right.
So the last thing I want to ask you, do you feel like enough of the public is involved in the county meetings? Like Marcia Ellis aside, do you feel like enough of the public comes and voices their opinion at the county meetings?
I think the structure there, and I give the commissioners all the credit, is they have told the people that if you want to talk to me for 3 minutes, get up at public comment. You want to have a real effective conversation, reach out to your commissioner and meet with them. And that's the most productive conversation. Because most people don't understand Robert's rules. Most people don't understand when you come up and make your point and you ask a question,
That you can't
I
answer.
cannot answer
Yeah.
you. So I always say to people, come to my office, and I've tried to carry the tradition the others have. The meetings, unfortunately, what you have to be aware of is the 30 people in that room do not represent the 850 people in Lee County.
Right.
And when you run for office,
850,000 people.
Yeah.
you're right, 850,000 people. When you get to run for office, like I did, coming from a small community like Sanibel, you knock on 10 or 20,000 doors. You go to all these different events. Again, people said, well, you're a known commodity. I was a known commodity that had 3,000 voters. I had to come into Lee County, and now I had to educate everybody. And you get to meet people, and that's how you do that. I always tell people to call and make an appointment. We'd rather have that type of conversation.
What do you think about single member
Yes,
district?
that's what I was going to ask next.
I knew
dear.
you were.
Good
I
job.
tried to get in quickly.
Somebody's trying to spam our page, so.
The concept of single member districts is we are inconsistent in Lee County. Okay. You've heard many times people say Ray Sandelli's district is Fort Myers Beach. You've heard at the meetings, Ray, it's your district, you take care of it. There's not consistency in doing that. My district is certainly a very different district. Many people would like to be, county-wide, because it also then will limit your ability to collect money to run for the office. Okay, when you're a district. I am for single-member districts.
Wow.
In the concept of it is. The
Okay.
concept is I'd love to be able to work within my district. I understand the district the best. And that doesn't mean we can't work through budgets. That doesn't mean we can't through
I
whatever.
am not surprised. You're surprised that he said
No,
that?
I'm glad he come
Okay.
out and say
Yeah.
it because,
Oh, you're
sometimes
surprised
people are
he said it.
wishy-washy
Yeah.
about it.
Go ahead,
Like,
sorry.
is there enough support to get it on a ballot?
Oh, I think if it's on the ballot, it goes through.
I 100% agree with you, man. 100%. Do you
Well-
think there should be more county board members then? More than 5?
No. I think 5's more than adequate. I'm not looking to try to expand government, but right now, I sometimes have the ability to represent my district, and then other times it's like, let's all vote on it together. And I
Yeah.
would just like consistency. And if it loses single member, I'm fine with that. But I would like the opportunity. And the legislators are someone we have to work with. And this is something they want. We're either going to do it, or in the next ballot, it'll be on the ballot, and they'll make us do it.
Yeah, I don't see any
don't see a
reason why the
drawback.
voters
Well,
shouldn't be able to
the-
decide. There's no downside to that.
No, but the challenge is everyone always has is will you distribute the money properly? It's not certainly an unknown commodity. When you live on the coast, you pay more taxes. My district raises 40% of the real estate taxes in the county.
Right.
So the concern would always be, I'm paying 40%. Shouldn't we have more money spent in my district? That might not be where development's going on. My roadways and everything else, maybe Alico, maybe out of 31. I have to start
Lehigh.
to continue to do Lehigh. Exactly. So although we may be donating the most money, it doesn't necessarily say that we're going to spend it in there.
Right.
And I think that we could work through those processes. A budget is for the entire county and for the betterment of the county. No different than I learned a long time ago when I was in Sanibel to work with the county, because I'm part of Lee County, even though I'm on an isolated island.
I hate to bring up these issues, but it seems like there's a lot of people pressuring the county board to do something about Amendment 4, or come out with a statement about Amendment 4, which is the abortion issue. Does the county board plan on making a statement or doing something?
It's on the agenda Tuesday.
Oh, it is.
There's a resolution, obviously opposing Amendment 4.
What is Amendment 4 specifically? It's
the right for people to have abortions.
okay.
The language, most people would say, attorneys would say it's too vague and ambiguous. The left side would say, let everyone do what they want to do. It's a woman's right and body. And I get all that. But you also read the language, and one has the flexibility of aborting a true human being very, very late in the pregnancy. We're talking about way past 20, 25 weeks where you still can abort. And the other issue you have with that is that it's a funding vehicle with Planned Parenthood. So that's it. People say it's not my responsibility. Here's the one thing I learned 18 years ago when I got in office. The constituents tell me what my responsibility is. I don't get to pick and choose. I don't like this one. This may be too I'm going to duck this one. I can tell you right now, it's probably 400 to 500 people that have contacted us.
Is that good? Is that a lot?
A lot of people, correct.
Okay.
A lot of people have contacted us. Right now, it's probably 6 to 4, or
Really?
60%, 40%, to vote no and pass a resolution opposing this situation.
So the resolution that's coming up is going to oppose it.
Correct.
And how would you vote on it if it was?
I'll tell you Tuesday.
All right. No, I mean at the ballot.
At the ballot, I would certainly be against.
Now vote. These ones I think a little bit easier.
But let's
Okay.
understand my personal opinion. I don't get to have that supersede
Right.
my responsibility as a county commissioner.
Right.
Yes, I'm
Right.
Irish Catholic. Yes, I'm not for abortion. But that I cannot even have that play in my head, because when the constituents tell me to do something, I represent the constituents. And maybe after 18 years and having blessed and thanked the audience for not having an opponent the first time in 6 elections, that maybe the people believe that you're doing the right job.
Right.
And it's hard
Right.
after 18 years to have the same type
Right.
of faith.
And the people that are watching, I didn't bring this up to get into a debate with anybody. Only
Oh,
brought it up
boy.
because I know it was coming in front of the county board. The other one is Amendment 3, has to do with weed, right? Like pot or something, and making pot legal. Is the county board taking a position on that too?
No, again,
It hasn't come up, right?
no, because nobody's brought this issue up. The abortion issue is one that is very, very controversial. And, it's gone from a number of weeks to 6 weeks. And many people feel that's too strict. President Trump, who's running for office, has said, I'm not in favor of 6 weeks.
Right.
Okay, it's too short a period of time. But the funny thing about any type of amendments, you can't make a modification. You know what? I like this if we could do it at 20.
Right.
We can't do that.
Yeah.
So again, the weed hasn't come up because nobody's brought it up. If it is, we
Then
have to
you're
deal
gonna
with
have
it.
to-
I can't say this isn't my responsibility.
Trump win or not? Is he going to win or not?
I believe he will win.
Yeah, gosh. I mean, you think that the Republicans come up with just one better candidate? I mean, I'm going to vote for Trump, but gosh, I'm going to hold my
Well,
nose and
Why
vote.
have
I'm gonna
to
give
end
it-
on
I'm
I
this?
know. I don't want to talk about
I'm gonna-
national politics,
I'm
but
gonna
God,
give-
I'm holding my nose for this one.
I'm going
Why
to
don't
give
you
you a
hold your
political.
tongue for it?
Yeah,
I will give you a very political answer.
do it.
You've seen at the local level, sometimes you can't find candidates. You've seen at the county level, you can't find candidates. You've seen at the House level, at Tallahassee, you can't find candidates. People have asked me endlessly to run for Congress. There aren't candidates there. So imagine the United States
Right.
president of the United States.
Like, who wants to put
What he has
themselves in that?
sacrificed, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, you look at the two people and you say, okay, who do I ideally match up with?
Right.
I don't bat 1,000 as a politician. I'm never going to vote exactly the way you want to, and
Yeah.
it can't work.
Right.
So you look at the better of the two people, and I think when it comes to immigration, inflation, business practices, he's the better policy. Would I like him to tweet less? Sure.
The thing that,
But from a policy point
Kevin,
of
the
view-
things that's missing from national
Dear-
politics, and I'm not talking about the candidates, is nobody, you don't hear them ever talking like have a speech about the issues, like or get into the issues and feel like you're making people proud to be Americans. That's what I feel like. Kind of, I know I'm going back to the Reagan time where you kind of felt like, yes, I want to be an American. Now you got these people that are protesting on campus because they want to be, in Hamas. Or it's just so goofy sometimes. It's like, can't you just be so damn happy to be in America? That's what I think kind of misses.
But politics have really become a contact sport.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
at the local level, the county level, the negativity.
Yeah.
So whether you want to say it started at the top to come on down, but most people think if you have negative campaigns, people don't want to hear when I was running for office that I cut taxes 11 of the 13 years on Sanibel. People didn't want to hear that I'm fiscally responsible. People didn't want to. It just was basically negativity.
Right.
And I was painted with the
Well,
same
we-
brush. Okay. I was painted as a spoon-fed person, a trust fund baby who could not relate to the everyday public. And I really would never connect.
Yeah.
Right.
And my normal attire was a tuxedo. My car transportation was a limousine
Wow.
to try to sell that. And
I
that's
miss those
campaign.
days.
What watch you wearing?
I'm
You got
wearing
a
an
Rolex?
Apple Watch, and I do own a Rolex, and I'm wearing a Whoop.
So-
But the issue, I guess, is my final statement as you go through that process, is it just has gotten to be a level at local politics where 18 years ago it didn't exist, where it's more of a contact sport. And both sides say, you attacked me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But in every race, the only one that didn't attack anyone was Mike Greenwell. And I admired Mike for not attacking anything about Amanda. But, listen, Mike's family is building a gentleman's club. Mike's not part of the business anymore, but
Right.
Mike is going to spend his time doing that instead of a county commissioner. Here's a Hall of Fame person that stepped up in the community to help the community. At 60 years of age, he needed to do this?
Yeah. So, how was it last? Oh, how much does a county commissioner get paid? It's public knowledge.
The county commission gets paid about $112,000.
And what do you do with your paycheck?
In the 18 years, I've never taken a dime. My paycheck goes to food shelters in Lee County. The good news was when I was in Sanibel the first 13 years, we were unpaid. One of 3 municipalities in the state that never got paid. And when I was going into county commission, since I was never used to a salary for that, and we run financial companies throughout the United States, I said I would donate my salary. And in the 4 years, I've donated over $500,000.
Wow, that's awesome.
Wow.
Do you have a? Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big hand for County Commissioner Kevin Ruane. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All righty, everybody. Before we get rolling out of here, we do need to tell you about a couple more of our great sponsors. KGT Builders. You want a good builder. You want an honest builder. You want one that's licensed. You want one that's insured. And that's going to build you a rock-solid house. KGT Builders has been serving the Naples-Fort Myers area for over 15 years. They're a true concierge, turnkey design build company. And Spencer Morris is your man right now to call if you want a nice house built quickly and solidly. Give Spencer Morris a call. He's sitting out in his trailer right now waiting for you to call because he's ready for business. His number is 239-887-0166, 239-887-0166. Also want to tell you about Tony Bone. He's been a sponsor of ours. He's worked on our house. He's painted the wavy wall. He's volunteered many times down here. And if you need your house painted after KGT builds it, you might want a different color. Like I want a different color on my baby truck. I want to paint it yellow. Now, Tony doesn't paint trucks. I'm telling you, that baby truck's going to be bright yellow soon. But Tony, he'll paint your house. He's been in business since 1994. He comes from a family of painters. His father and uncle, his brother, his cousins. He's a repaint specialist. He does inside and outside, cabinet, furniture finishings as well. He did 12 years at the Edison House, the Edison Ford Winter Estates, that is. And you know where that is? That's in Fort Myers, where all the uppity people live. So if you want somebody to take care of your inside or outside, doing the paint, maybe some carpentry work as well, you want Tony to give you a call, or you want to give Tony a call. Because if you don't, I think it's starting now. I'm going to go over all that, dear. How dare you interrupt me? But I didn't lose my place. Tony Bone Painting. Give him a call, 239-410-7083, 239-410-7083. Big thank you to Scott for coming in and Kevin for sliding in here to be a special guest. Can we get a big round of applause for all of our friends here at Margaritaville? The activities are underway on the License to Chill Terrace, and we're going to be in the dunk tank starting at 4 o'clock for us. The dunk tank starts at 3. It's already 12:15. And then the Notre Dame game is 7:30. I think it's 7:30 tonight. So we're going to hang out all day here. So if you don't hit me in the dunk tank, you can just find a baseball and throw it at me from across the terrace there. And then tomorrow we have the fire chief at 10 o'clock and then the mayor at 10:30. And we have the menus from the Islands Pancake House if you want to take one. We have the flyers for September 13th. If you want to take one, get you into the pool for free. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you up at the dunk tank. Have a great day and enjoy Jimmy Buffett weekend here. Bye-bye.